in the bottom floor of the old Exchange building. I think one of the most significant landmarks in our country's history, and certainly played a huge role in not only South Carolina, but Charleston history as well. This building was actually the stage for kind of where patriotism and loyalty was tested by many of Charleston's leaders. And it certainly helped change the course of our country's history. In 1771, when this building was completed by the British, it served numerous purposes. The first floor where we are now, this was the cellar. It's where they kept dry goods such as rice, cotton, tobacco, and indigo. Second floor was kind of government offices. It's where they kept track of the shipping industry. It was the customs house. We had over 100 ships a day coming into Charleston at the time, so that was an important role for the town. And the third floor, that's the Great Hall. That's where they had political meetings, that's where they had social gatherings, and where they hosted, dignitaries and guests that would come into town. In 1780, when the British occupied Charleston, they came into town and they picked this building to be their headquarters. They knew that it was the most important building in town. They had just completed building it in 1771, so they moved all their troops, all their operations in here. And it was at that point where they converted the cellar into the Provost Dungeon. And here in the Provost Dungeon, they kept Charleston's worst criminals, as well as some of the most respected people in our community, all these political prisoners, including 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence. We had Edward Rutledge down here, Thomas Hayward Jr., we had Arthur Middleton. These were some of our nation's most amazing leaders, and they were kept in these horrible conditions. And these were men that by declaring their allegiance to the Patriot movement, that they basically risked their lives, their fortune, their families, their houses, everything to fight for our country's independence. And by signing the Declaration of Independence, it really would have been their death warrant had the Patriot movement not prevailed over the British. One of the more important figures that was also kept down here, he was not a signer of the Declaration of Independence, but certainly a local leader. His name was Isaac Hayne. He was a wealthy planter. He had the community's respect. People thought a lot of him. And when the whole Patriot movement first came about, he was one of the first people to volunteer, to fight in the militia, to do everything he could for our country's independence. Fast forward to about 1780, once the British had came in and they occupied Charleston, at that point in his life, his family was very sick. And so he had to come into Charleston from his farm on the outskirts of town. And when he came into Charleston, the British knew that this was a very well-respected man. They actually captured him, and they made him sign an oath of allegiance to the crown. They said, if you sign this, we'll let you go back to your family. You can take good care of them, but you have to sign this allegiance, this oath to the crown. And my gosh, given the circumstances, he had to save his family. So of course he signed the oath. Everybody in town knew where his allegiance was. About a year later, his wife actually passed away. He took up arms against the British again and fought bravely. And wasn't long after that he was actually captured by the British again. And he was brought down here into the Provost Dungeon where he was kept. He was sentenced to hang for his crime of treason. Didn't even have a trial, which the British originally had kind of promised him, but they realized what a significant figure he was in this community. They're like, nope, no trial, you gotta be publicly executed. August 4th, 1781, they shackled Isaac Haynes. They led him out the doors of the Provost Dungeon, out onto Broad Street, where he led a procession of British soldiers right in front of the entire community. They had lined the street all the way from the Provost Dungeon to the gallows, where he marched with all the British soldiers and where he was publicly executed. And the British, they thought that this entire event would serve them well and set an example to the other citizens of Charleston, but it actually did the opposite. It enraged the locals that they would hang one of their favorite people. It made them even more committed to the cause, and he actually became a martyr after that and became a hero in the Revolutionary War. But knowing that he was in this very room and what he fought for and what he sacrificed is really just, the gravity of the situation when you're down here and you know the history of the building, it's fascinating to me. That's why I'm thrilled that the Old Exchange is open to the public. It's a great reminder to everybody, really, of the sacrifices, the suffering, and the lives lost in our country in the pursuit of our country's independence.